Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for another round of the United Rugby Championship. This is the second last round before the playoffs, and we already have a top four that have been crowned. Looking through, Leinster, Glasgow, the Bulls, and the Sharks, after their win last night, managed to book themselves their spot to the semi-final. But now the question marks around that 5 to 8 position is well and truly in full effect. Cardiff in this contest taking on the Bulls. Now the Bulls can still leap up ahead of Glasgow, but the games for for a couple weeks' time in the URC quarters, they've already been confirmed in terms of times, just not opposition for who sides are playing. But as you can see, there are about 10 sides, if not more, that could still make it into that top 8. So with that being said, we'll look through at the starting lineups for these two sides. For the Bulls, it is Jan-Hendrik Wessels, Johan Robelaar, and Wilco Low as the front row in this contest. Cobus Visa alongside J.F. Van Huren in the locking duo with Kutsia, Nokia, and Cameron Hanekom slotting in as the number 8. Zach Berger and Johan Goosen in the 19 combo. Foster and David Kriel in the midfield. For a lot of these guys, these next few weeks, that's the big opportunity to try and put your name into Rassie's Springbok side for July. There are a few guys that overall this season you could say have a chance at being bolters. So a couple more good games could definitely help them out. Seb de Klerk out on that left wing. Kanan Moody out on the right. And Villy LaRue slotting in at number 15. He's been debated about quite a bit in terms of whether or not he makes Rassie's side for his 100th game. Well, he will be missing out. Looking through at the lineup for Cardiff, they have got quite a few Welsh internationals in the side. Dimachowski alongside Lloyd and Azarati as the front row. McNally and Thornton in the locking duo with Mann, James Botham and Lawrence as the number 8. Mulder and De Beer will be the 19 combination. Thomas and Millard in the midfield. Josh Adams out on that right side, one to definitely keep an eye out here. Hammer Webb out on the other, and then also Cameron Winnett, one of those young guys for Wales that actually, overall, you'd have to say, he was one of the better players that they had for a little while there, although kind of disappeared at times. But for Cardiff, he seems to really step up, got some great stats throughout the URC. So hopefully this game will be no different. Looking through at this contest, just very briefly, in terms of what these sides have got coming up, the Bulls have got the Dragons next week. Stormers are going to be taking on Cardiff. But as you can see, $10.50 underdog for Cardiff in this contest, which means they are given a very, very narrow chance of being able to win this game. But we've got to remember, Cardiff are ranked 6th for a reason. They are a tough side. The Bulls, they still have to play some decent rugby here. They can't go into this contest just assuming that they will get the victory just because it's at home and just because of the absolute stacked side that they have put on the field. They will still have to play well, and hopefully they do throughout the 80 minutes we have got there. Munster will go down when the Stormers play today, says LFG. That is another side, of course, the Stormers, who are massive favourites for their contest up against the Dragons. We will be covering them on the channel too. And geez, Munster went from 9th to 5th. It shows how close this URC competition is. The fact that one win at this stage of the comp can lift you up 4 spaces. There's still going to be a few curveballs, I would say, definitely going into next week. We will see sides that started off the week in the quarterfinals and finished the week probably in about 11th, depending on how their games do end up going. Greetings, says Gerhard, welcome in. And 45 points to 23 for the Bulls today. Kurt Cobain told me the score in a dream last night. Well, you got to believe him if that's the case. We have got there, this will be a runaway victory for the Bulls, no disrespect. Says Mornay, and hello Hamish, got the Bulls, says Sue. And we have got there in this video, I'm watching the Bulls in there as well from Albert. And we have got there, you probably heard Sam Gilbert of the Highlanders is going to Connacht next season. That is the case, yes. It's going to be one of those players that, once again, we've seen a few Kiwis recently go overseas chasing those contracts, and, it's going very nicely for a few of them, having some great minutes throughout the URC. Of course, someone like a Geordie Barrett, who's more well talked about than some of those other men who have headed over, but even someone like a Wes Husson, for Edinburgh. He took that risk a couple years ago, leaving the Hurricanes, and since then seems to have really built a established name for himself at 15 in that Edinburgh side. Let's go the Bulls, says Johnny Blaze, and go the Bulls, says Wildlife SA. And also, I enjoy your channel. Thank you very much. It is greatly appreciated. Looking through at the previous form for these two sides, as we do get very close to the kickoff, only about 5 minutes away from taking place. For the Bulls, they did lose in their quarterfinal of the European Challenge Cup. It was up against Edinburgh, 34 points to 28. Not quite the game that they were after, but they had a really good win over Munster and a fantastic win over Glasgow. Now, when you hear those two names and you look at the way that this top 8 sits, those little moments could be the difference. You look at someone like Munster. If they had won that game up against the Bulls, perhaps they'd feel a little bit more safe at the moment heading towards the last round of the URC. But instead, they did only get the 1 point from it. Glasgow, they have been in a little bit of a tough predicament as of late. They've had a couple more losses than they would have liked, but overall still confirmed as a home quarter finalist. For Cardiff, they were also able to beat Munster. So Munster hasn't had the best run up against these two sides, and unfortunately for Munster, both by narrow margins up against Cardiff and the Bulls. They also got themselves the win over Ospreys, but that loss in the Challenge Cup in the round of 16, some would actually say it has benefited Cardiff. And I know that that's weird to say, but when you look at their results afterwards, including that big win over Munster, maybe just the fact that they're having one focus rather than trying to juggle with two competitions can actually heavily benefit certain sides. I know that Leinster, the talking of them being knocked out of the competition has been talked about massively throughout this week, but I do think now that their firm focus is on the URC, that makes Leinster just that little bit more dangerous. We have got there DC Aronsa upset Jake. I did not know. What did he say in that regard? Who won between the Chiefs and the Crusaders? Well, there is a situation, and that is that the Crusaders were up by 9 at half time and went on to lose that game by about 16. They just didn't show up in the second half. Brilliant from the Chiefs, though, from pretty much the start of the second to the end of it. I'll probably end up playing for Ireland too. Says Johnny Blaze, and Bulls struggle at home, so Cardiff have a chance. Says Eric, and also we've got there, good morning to Kiwi lads, morena to everyone around the world and here at home. 1:56 a.m. in New Zealand time. And also Rugby Challenge 2, you unlocks John Olomu, says Blues Nate. And there as well, Bulls 40 plus is Sean's prediction. So he's going with a massive win here for the Bulls. Of course, points differential is something that doesn't play a factor in this competition, although if two sides have the same amount of wins, it can come into it. So in that case, a 40-point win for the Bulls here would actually put them quite nicely towards that Glasgow total. Now, Glasgow, they have got a game of their own. And believe it or not, for some odd reason, three of the top 3 sides are all playing at the exact same time later on tonight. Glasgow taking on Benetton, Stormers facing the Dragons, that is the other game that's taking place, and then Leinster versus Zebre. So I'm not too sure who scheduled that one, but it's a little bit confusing that that's the way that it's worked out. But at the end of those games, we will get to see once again whether or not Glasgow can continue going forward in that number 2 spot, or whether the Bulls put enough pressure on them that maybe they start to crumble and end up dropping that little bit further down. It looks like a beautiful afternoon for this game at Loftus. I think I just saw 23 degrees Celsius, so it will be a warm one. Hopefully a free-flowing game of rugby too. Did Damien McKenzie play this match? He certainly did. There's a new funding model now. They're 2 of the Welsh sides. The other 2 are in talks about it. And let's go the Bulls, says Kuz. And also we have got their Bulls the way to go, guys, says Spider-Mick. And brah, why are you New Zealanders doing up this late? You are also one of those New Zealanders though, Johnny. So I guess we can ask you the same question. They are just showing the lineups and we will do the same, except this time, rather than the starting sides, we'll be looking through at the benches. Talupe Falatau off the bench for Cardiff. They have gone with their 6-2 split in this contest, whereas for the Bulls, they have gone with the 5-3. Having Marco van Staden off the bench, I think is going to be an absolutely massive one for them. He's a workhorse. He'll go out there. He might get a couple late steals if this game is close, but overall, I do think by the time he makes his way on, if the Bulls play the way that they can and they use home field advantage to their advantage, I feel like this one should be relatively secured by the time he makes his way on. And there we go. They've just said that Cardiff have never beaten the Bulls in the URC. So that is also something that this Cardiff side will know. And they are actually wearing the red kit for this contest. Of course, they do normally wear the blue. Jake does not get along with player agents. He's the last to hear when a player wants to leave. Aronsa probably not coming back to the Bulls, says Albert. And watching the Satyrs versus Chiefs, and I thought that the Satyrs would win that match. Well, at halftime, it looked like they had a really good shot of being able to do so. And then it just went plummeting downhill throughout the second 40 minutes. Bulls must win with a bonus point and more than 7 points, says Gustav. And there as well, yeah, the 5-point win is definitely what they will want, as in 5 points on the table, not 5 points on the scoreboard. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what this side can do here. As I just feel like Cardiff, they are no easy beats, but like they've said, they've never beaten the Bulls. And this Bulls side are peaking at the right time of this competition. They are starting to find a bit of a rhythm, having 2 close wins. Now making their way out onto the field. The crowd giving a warm reception to this side, QR Nokia. Or Ruan Nokia, I should say. I've been confusing those two all throughout last week. I kept on saying that Ruan was playing for the Blitz box, which if he was, he would be considered as a world champion right now. As he was, QR Nokia, that is, a part of that winning Blitz box side. Munster going true as it stands. They probably aren't just now. They do need to win in the last round, I would say, because when we look at who's still to play this round, you know, Benetton, they've still got a game. They're in ninth. Scarlets are still playing. Stormers are still playing. Cardiff are still playing. So theoretically, like maybe around 8 or 9 at the end of this round with the wins that can still come. Maybe even 7th if they are lucky, and a couple upsets do kind of happen too. But either way, they're going to be dropping a couple ranks by the end of this round. Where are they playing? They are playing at Loftus for this contest. Looks like a great afternoon game of rugby by the looks of the sun. And yeah, I really hope this game lives up to expectations. Cardiff Blues, they've had some fantastic games this season. So I hope that because they're in South Africa, it is no different whatsoever. Glasgow is playing Benetton today, I believe. You are correct. And yeah, they are going head-to-head at the same time as Leinster are playing Zebre, and that who else is playing at the same time? Stormers Dragons is the other game taking place at that exact same moment. Johan Hussein, he will be the man kicking off this one from right to left, and that sun's going to be a little bit of a problem, I would say, early on in this fixture. So perhaps both sides will try and use that a little bit to their advantage. One side of the stadium is completely shaded. The other, the sun is out blaring, but it's kicked off for this match of the URC, the second last for these sides before the quarterfinals. Hello, Hamish, still looking fresh. What is the temperature? Temperature here at the moment, I think we're only about 6 degrees. It's actually been kind of warm today, which is nice. Temperature 7 degrees, so a little bit warmer. And great weather in Pretoria for rugby. Light breeze. Says Albert, it's going to be kicked high and into touch for the Welsh side, Cardiff. Someone actually told me this yesterday. It is all 4 South African sides versus all 4 Welsh teams, which I didn't put together until they said it. Haven't seen bystander in a while. Says Rehash. And also, we've got I'm hungry, brother. Wake up and made me some fried eggs. Then seen you live, so I'd show my face. Says Johnny, well, hopefully your eggs were up to standard, about 25 metres out from the line now. Marcel Kurtz, yeah. This is where the Bulls can be dangerous right from the get-go. That's a brilliant rolling maul here. This doesn't look like Cardiff are going to be able to slow this one down in too quick of a fashion. He's been held up, though, and that ball is trapped in there. So that's actually really good work from Cardiff. They went from giving up a lot of metres to then shutting it down for the Bulls and managing to get the put in for the scrum. And we have got, I hope the Bulls can do something for Munster today. Says Connor. Yeah, see, that's the thing. We're at the stage of the competition how for a few hours on each kind of weekend of rugby, there are very small alliances that are going to be formed. In this case, you know, Munster and the Bulls. Who would have thought that after the Bulls beat Munster at home only a couple of weeks ago, and there was a bit of rivalry back and forth there, now Munster are saying, you know, do us a favour, Bulls. Help us out a little bit. We don't mind that you beat us as long as you beat Cardiff as well. And I mean, they are wearing the Munster colours for this match, Cardiff. Wearing the bright red 950 kg forward pack for the Bulls. That's about a good 60 kgs on top of what most teams do like to run around at. But Cardiff have got a relatively big pack as well, 920, and that's a big statement made early on. All of that weight, all of that power, and they get themselves the early penalty, the Bulls. And JP Fori says Anna and the Bulls. And there's, it looks like Johan Hussein has called for the kicking tee here. It's a little bit of an interesting choice. I would have liked to see them go scrum again, to be honest. Yes, this is a very easy 3, but we have to remember as well, the Bulls in this game, a win is important, but getting that bonus point could be the difference between beating Glasgow in the overall standings or missing out. And yeah, that is just a massive shove from this Bulls side. And great scrum, should have gone for tap and go, says Eric. You know, even back to that scrum, see whether or not they can push them over backwards again. We have got their Munster probably won't get top 8 though, says Jamie. Our old mate Jake White going at the Bulls. Man feels like he's been there for ages. He's had his ups and downs. When they got knocked out of the Champions Cup, people started saying to sack him. Then he brought it back a little bit. They did all right in the Challenge Cup. Then they got knocked out of that comp. People went back to saying that they should sack him. And then now they're doing all right in the URC. But if they don't win the URC, people are saying to sack him. So it's not a fun job being a coach. There's always someone who wants to sack you. And yeah, it's not ideal. But if you win, people love you as a coach. Oh no, that ball's gone through the hands of David Creel. Hasn't been able to take it cleanly. The Bulls forwards bigger than the Cardiff ones. Absolutely. 920 kgs for the 4-pack of Cardiff compared to the 950 kgs of the Bulls. And that is one of the heavier 4-packs around that you will see in the world of rugby. It's slow poison at Loftus. The altitude will sap them. It's better to let Cardiff run around a bit first and then scrum more later on, says Christopher DeVette. But then you also have to remember, like, they can't go too far with it in terms of being a little bit too hesitant at the start of the Bulls. I think the best way to do it sounds absolutely brutal, but put the foot on the throat early. And then by the second half, they'll be absolutely drowned. And then that's when you get your 30 or so points within the second half of play. I think that if you can try and run them off their feet early, that is also going to make Cardiff play a little bit more tempo rugby, and that works in your favour. Hello, guys. Go the Bulls, says Yako. And there as well. But do let me know, ladies and gents, who you think will be the first player to cross the try line in this contest. At the moment, Cardiff are on attack, but that was a very poor bit of positioning from Cardiff. The man just pretty much fell straight into the lap of Jan-Hendrik Vezos, and he said hello, and then just grabbed that ball straight off him. I love it when you get ruthless, says Christopher. But that's the thing, like, if the Bulls find that gear, because in some of their recent games, they've been smashing sides. Legitimately just going out there and looking like just different level. So if they can do that, oh no, that one almost didn't find touch. In fact, no, it didn't. Brilliant bit of work on the sideline from Gabriel Hammer-Webb. And we have there, is it true that South African teams will be playing against New Zealand and Australia teams next year like in the past? The tours are coming back a little bit by the sounds of it. I think New Zealand are going to be in a legitimate 3-match tour up against South Africa, and so many features in the Bulls team. Grobby's Han, Honeycomb, Marco, MC. Yeah, they've got so many options for being able to steal that ball, and that is why Cardiff, once again, you chuck one of those big Bulls forwards into a breakdown, Cardiff have to rush to get over there and try and get them out of it, and that can all just slowly wear away at a side. Now going short side, Zach Berger off to Willie LaRue. He was the real talking point not too long ago when they did play up against the Glasgow Warriors. People feeling like maybe he shouldn't have kicked that ball into touch at the end. In the end, it seemed like most people agreed that if that one had hit the post and then Glasgow have scored, would have been too much of a risk. Beautiful pass on the outside. Kane and Moody, little chip in behind. This will be a very good chance, and it is taken, and it is scored by Harold Foster, and the Bulls get on the board early. Don't think anyone got a prediction in for who they thought would be first try scorer, but you would have been right if you said Harold Foster off a little chip in behind from Kane and Moody. That is the relentlessness we have been talking about for this Bulls team, but great offload from Johan Robillard, lured in 2 defenders, which also managed to get Hamer-Webb off his wing and just couldn't quite get it. Although his attempt at catching the ball looked like a yellow card all over it anyway. Foster ahead of the ball. Was he? It looks like they have awarded it. I'll be honest, I was watching Kane and Moody, in that chip and chase rather than Harold Foster. Foster kind of came up the inside quite quick. Maybe if he was in front, that would make sense. But no, I think they cleared it. They said it's all right. 7.5 minutes in, and the Bulls now up 10 points to 0. I don't think Cardiff will like getting tackled on a hard winter ground at Loftus. Yeah, although 23 degrees Celsius, I feel like that'll soften up the turf just a little bit. Only on that far side in the sun, though. In the near side, it's probably quite chilly and probably quite welcoming for the players. Afternoon, Hamish. It's still raining in Cape Town, says Ruth. So that sounds like we're going to have a wet game between Stormers and up against the Dragons. That will be interesting, though, because does that somehow benefit the Dragons? Like, of course, they are a side that have not won many games at all this season, but if you're going to play in the rain, I feel like Sasha might have a little, like he's still probably going to score 2 or 3 tries, but he might have a little bit more trouble handling that ball than you would normally see. Oh. Cardiff wanted to take it quickly. We had clearly formed a line out. I can't do an Irish accent very well, although that one actually wasn't my worst, I don't think. But now line out throw here. There was hesitation. They weren't too sure where to go for it. It looks like Ethan Lloyd just having a bit of a conversation with a couple of his teammates saying, how about we call it before I get to the line out? Hey, Hamish, thanks for your commentary. Says Russell, thank you very much for being here. We have still got the Stormers versus Dragons just around the corner, which we are also covering on the channel. Billy LaRue goes across to Kane and Moody, who bumps off one, but is tackled by Lloyd. He looks like he's finding form at just the right time too, and for a lot of these guys, this is the perfect time to be able to do so. I think it went backwards, they have just said. Wide cut our pass to Sebastian de Klerk, and that's gone backwards again. So a couple handling errors here for the Bulls, but they have still managed to hang on to it, and Cameron Hanekom tries the pick and go. That looked a little high from Josh Adams, who has to let him go only 10 metres out from the try line. Zach Berger back across to Marcel Kutsia. And the penalty goes the way of Cardiff. That is a big reprieve. Their head Bulls on the rampage and Bulls forwards are awesome, says Outlaw. I think that a lot of sides will struggle to beat this Bulls side if all of their forwards here can stay uninjured going into the later games. The fact that they've got Hanekom back, Kutsia's there, the front row is strong, and I mean, they are 950 kg, so that does help in terms of the pack weight. Will Super Rugby return like it was before South African teams went to URC, says Nico there. So he must have said something earlier. Like the Super 12, 15 and so on. I don't think they'll be returning to Super Rugby anytime soon. I think a lot of South Africans are quite enjoying the new venture of the URC. There are a few who, of course, would like to go back to Super 2, but overall, I mean, 3 sides inside of the top 8 for these South African sides is certainly a big feather in the cap of what they've been able to do as of late. We have got the Are You Streaming Lions versus Scarlets tomorrow. The original plan was to do that game, but at the same time as that, there's actually an under-20s last game of the Rugby Championship between South Africa and New Zealand. So the plan is actually going to be to do that game, but also keep you guys updated with what is happening in Lions versus Scarlets at the same time, if that makes sense. So, yeah, we're doing a little bit of the game, and you'll know exactly who wins and who's scoring the tries and whatnot, but the main commentary will be the under-20s game, as if Argentina can beat Australia, New Zealand or South Africa can win the Rugby Championship from that game, which could be very exciting for that full 80 minutes. We have got the South African Cup. We'll have an interesting ending today. 3 teams still qualified for the Curry Cup, says Outlaw. So, could be some, hopefully not so one-sided games. You know how I mentioned about players not getting injured? That looks like Johan Husson is down at the moment, and he is shaking his head. His knee looks like it might be done for. And that is a massive shame for the Bulls, having such an experienced head. Just as I started mentioning about if they can avoid all their injuries, this is when, although we were talking about injuries in the 4-pack, I guess we should have reiterated about the back line too, so that Johan Husson didn't end up with a sore knee. He is talking to the medics, which is good news, but he looked like he was on the verge of tears before. I think he's done something relatively serious to that leg, and they don't even look like they're trying to move him at this point, so this might be a stretcher. Or is he going to try and get up? It looks like he's getting up, but no, he's just sitting up. Doesn't look like he's going anywhere. So this might be a big hit. Jake White, he's just slammed his walkie-talkie down. You can see the frustration. I'm not very good at lip reading, but I think I just saw him say that's roughly, like kind of open quote, something about that's what happens when you get taken off the effing ball or something I thought I read, but I'm not sure what it was that was the injury. We'll have to see here. Oh no, it's just a tackle from Johan Husson, is it? Oh no, here it comes now. So he was trying to join the breakdown. They're showing the replay. They've got him, Roa Nokia. It's still a little bit later on. No, I don't think they actually showed the moment where he does hurt his leg. I think it was in the breakdown that someone might have come in and whacked him. And he will make his way from the field. It does now mean that the Bulls have to make the early change at 10. They haven't actually got a legitimate... Well, they've got Keegan Johannes, who they could look at a 10 option. They also have Devin Williams and Stedman Hans. So I think what will happen is Williams comes on, goes to 15, Billy LaRue into fly half. For me, makes the most sense. You still kind of want that halfback cover at the end of the game just in case. But now rolling maul here for the Bulls, but a big hit already, losing Johan Husson at this stage of the competition, losing the ball again in the rolling maul. And I just made all that up apparently because Keegan Johannes is the man that they've brought out onto the pitch. So I guess they're working on the theory, having two halfbacks. One of them should be able to last for the 80-minute period. The Bulls is clicking at the right time, under 63 points. Says a Russ there. And Hamish looking bloody good. Again, there's the heavy downpour now. Heavy. Yeah, so it does seem like that Stormers Dragon game could be heavily affected by the rain. And we have there difficult to win in the Cape. Says Outlaw. Yeah, we just see it again, Cardiff. That is now their second time that they've been able to tie up that ball inside of a rolling maul of the Bulls. And hit that like and subscribe, guys and gals. And we got a few Halloween emojis there from Johnny Blaze. Best rugby commentary on YouTube. Thank you very much, mate. Greatly appreciated. Of course, you are one of the regulars from way back in the day, back when we had less than 1,000, I want to say, is when we first had you popping in. Now it's going to be a scrum feed. First phase after getting that ball back, just dropping it cold. Not what you want. And yeah, just not quite into the hands of Johan Mulder. 13 minutes into this game. Still 10-0, 50% gone for the Bulls to win the URC without Husson, if only for his good kicking. Says Eric. Well, that's the thing. Like, his game, yes, people give him a little bit of stick for what he does around the field in terms of his attacking game. Can sometimes be a little bit shaky. But off the tee, you know, he's the type of guy that can get you those narrow point victories like we've been seeing for them in just recent times. And come on, the Bulls. Says Spider-Mick there. Now Cameron Honeycomb breaking off the back goes to Billy LaRue, who does look like he's slotting into more of about a 10 position. Awkward bouncing ball. That is a terrible moment for the young number 15 Cameron Winnett, and Sebastian de Klerk was all over him almost after a bit of a fumble. Got that ball. We have got there. Do you think Cardiff will make a comeback? I think that they'll have to work extremely hard to make a comeback. Definitely up against a side like the Bulls, who already look like they're in some pretty handy form. Now, the thing for the Bulls, though, is they are now missing Johan Husson for the rest of this game, so that might play a bit of a factor, but I do still think it would take a monumental Cardiff effort to get anywhere near a win here. But it's not impossible. Billy LaRue went to score with Moses, surely, says Kevin. And can imagine Jake was not happy. Yeah, when he saw Johan Husson go down injured, they showed him. He had the walkie-talkie and he just full-on slammed it onto the table. And he was saying something, and I thought it was something about off the ball, but then they didn't show the right breakdown for where Husson got injured. It was the moments beforehand that they were showing, but not actually the moment when it happened. What's your death row meal? I actually don't know, to be fair. Like, I get asked what my favourite food is quite a bit, and I don't have, like, a good answer. Like, I like quite a few different foods, but honestly, just a decent burger goes a long way. Kane and Moody. Oh, big shot on him. Sebastian de Klerk now. Moving forward again. They are only 5 metres out from the line now. Off to Cameron Honeycomb. Sits down Dumachowski, and that ball's gone backwards, so still on attack. Zach Berger goes across to Marcel Kutzia. Play on. Once again, the call. Billy LaRue. Cross to Kane and Moody. Skip pass. Goes out wide. Ruan Nokia just not quite able to reach out, but he was extremely close to the try line. That is also close, and that is now over for Wilco Lowe, the big man. Scores the try, and it's another one for the Bulls. Just joined who scored. First try of the match was scored by Harold Foster. Wilco Lowe just about here getting the second. In time for Pollard to get to Pretoria, says Albert. And also we've got there Olga keeping happy out of the rain. And Wilco, says Eric. And there's, I remember when you cracked 100 subs, says Johnny Blaze, way back in the ancient days. Yeah, that was a wee while ago. Since then, we've done over 1,000. In fact, we're closer to the 2,000 live stream mark, I believe now. I was the first person to say in the beginning of the rugby season, Leinster won't win the Champions Cup. And I will say again, Leinster won't win the URC. The URC final will be in South Africa again, says Mike. And will the Bulls ever re-sign OG players like Argie Snyman? How cool would that be? It would be pretty awesome to see him run around in a Bulls kit at some stage. I feel like the money that he's probably getting overseas at the moment is possibly a little bit too good to refuse. Hamish thus far doubles as Harry Potter. Once watched Cool Runnings and claims it was the best he has ever seen. I don't think I claimed that. I just said it was a movie that I had seen. And doesn't like long walks on the beach. Possibly prefers hamburgers. As Storm is Hamish's favourite team. Pete's a favourite food. And Cool Runnings' favourite and only movie he's ever seen. That's just not true. But yes, I have seen Cool Runnings. We watched it back at school. We also watched Kicking and Screaming. Anyone who's seen that one of Will Ferrell? I assume that taught us some sort of life lesson about, life, and Bulls dominating. So here's LFG, and we've got the hi Hamish and everyone. I hope all is well. Looks like an easy game for the Bulls so far. Yeah, the scoreline, you take the early 3, and then you score a try, and then you get another one. All of a sudden, the score does look 17-0, and that doesn't bode well for this Cardiff side, and it just shows how quickly 1 or 2 tries can just take you out of a contest. 14-0 doesn't look great, but that 17 just adds that little bit of extra oomph. They've actually just lost the scoreboard off the coverage as well, I do see. Kick downfield from Keegan Johannes for the goal line dropout. It's pouring with rain out there, says Ruth, and Cape Town is going to be a wet, cold, muddy, windy mess, says Albert. So it sounds like the type of game that could cause a little bit of an upset then. If that is the case, passing nicely out the back line here for Cardiff. First real attacking chance in quite some time. Millard puts it in behind, but it does just go into touch as Hamer Webb was chasing after it. Bulls had enough good locks now. Get Jesse Krill back, and the Bulls back line will be magic next year, says Eric. That's the thing. They've got, when you look at the players who they've had in the past and who could completely, just overhaul this side, in the future, they will once again be a very hard side to beat. I like Hamish commentary, says Mike, and the ball says Hensel. Nicely taken by Robillard, only 10 metres out from the line. Do you ever take trips overseas? I've been to Australia a couple of times, but not like a massive amount of overseas trips. I've been looking at South Africa for a while, but have never quite got round to either going or working out where to go. Now going off to the left-hand side, nice inside ball to Cameron Winnett. That looked like he almost dropped that one on the ground. Now Mulder goes back across. The Englishman at number 4, Josh McNally in this contest. Benetton to beat Glasgow later. There's my prediction, massive upsets. Yes, Kevin, and that one's kicked out on the full from Cardiff. Just a little bit too much on it from Tinnis de Beer. And Cape Town always rainy and wet. Does the pop group wet, not also from Cape Town. And Benetton win would help South African teams. Says Al, well, it would also help the chance of that home semi, wouldn't it, for the Bulls? So that would be massively beneficial. The Stormers, they're still thereabouts. They will want the win over the Dragons no matter what, just to try and secure that kind of quarterfinal spot. You go to Cape Town, the rest not worth it, says Hensel. I feel like there are other places in South Africa other than Cape Town that you can go and enjoy, though. I think it just depends on what you like to do. It looks like Honeycomb just getting a bit of attention on his hamstring here. Hopefully, once again, nothing too serious for that man. We have got there, Hamish should wear an imperial mustache with a sour or soul patch, says Christopher. But now, split jersey for the Cardiff Blues and the Bulls from that man. I guess they're both blue, so it's quite hard to tell from a distance. Line out throw here for Johan Robillard. Nicely taken. Zach Berger going back across to the right-hand side. Marcel Kurtzy, a massive contact on him, but just managed just to bump out of it like it was nothing. Berger back into the pocket. Kicking downfield will be Keegan Johannes, who did come onto the field for Johan Goosen. Slapped back by Kana Moody. Picked up by Billy LaRue. This is a great chance. Moody, no one will catch him. And it's another try. And that is already 3 in this contest for the Bulls. They are tearing this Cardiff side apart at the moment. We have there one thing I say you missed. You call live should have been a commentator, really top class. Says Kevin. I've seen Jesse Creel full on speaking Japanese. Man's got a rig chiseled by the gods and speaks Japanese. Talented bloke. Says Johnny. What do you like to do? As in like outside of streaming? Or I assume that was to me maybe. Hussein injured. Yeah, unfortunately suffered a bit of a knee injury early on in this contest. Had to be stretchered off the field. And South Africa, beautiful country everywhere, especially if you go past Table Mountain. Says Eric. And come on, Cardiff, no defence here, lads. Yeah, just down the short side. Nice pass on the inside from Billy LaRue. He does get the try assist. And Keegan Johannes, he is now in charge of the kicking tee. This score's not looking good for Cardiff at the moment. We have got there Travel Joburg at night with a lot of spending money in your pocket. Oh, and Travel Line, trust us, says Rehash. And we have got there South Africa, beautiful country. And LaRue Bulls tries fest yee, says Ruth there. I assume that's how you say that word in terms of the way it's spelt. But Kana Moody, he deserved to try after the way that he got the assist for the last one. Definitely would have liked to cross the try line himself and now has been able to do so. But Billy LaRue definitely having a standout performance as well. You called it, then decided to put the pressure on early, or they decided to go pressure on early and go for the jugular. Yeah. They had to. Like Cardiff are one of those sides that if you can take them out early, they just won't quite be able to get back into the game. Like if they're still fresh later on in the contest, more than likely, great chance. We're there outdoors besides playing cricket, hiking, safaris. Well, we don't really have safaris here in New Zealand, and I've never been on one. I've been to a zoo, but I don't think it's quite the same. Hiking sounds like hard work. Anyone who knows my fitness from cricket being below par means that hiking's off the table just for now. Nice bump off from Johan Grobler. I don't mind a little bit of golf, which is still kind of more sports related, isn't it? If you think Table Mountain is the best in South Africa, that means you've never been here. Says Albert. I think the one who said it was from South Africa, and we have got their great try creation from Willie. Now going back across to the right-hand side, Zach Berger. Keegan Johannes, that was a very short ball to Ruanoki. I think he almost just handed it to him rather than passed it. Now kicking this one in behind. Billy LaRue looking for the 50-22 steep bounce. Cameron Wennett, awkward bouncing ball. It's just running away from him. He passes it across to absolutely no one, but now Hamer out on the wing. Hamer Webb, that is, does pick it up. And we have got there, love golf, my handicap is my short arms. Says Kevin. And this feels like Box 13 versus Wales 4th team. And what match are you doing? Next match will be Stormers versus Dragons. Of course, there are 3 games that are all overlapping with each other. And Saracens is currently beating Newcastle 26 points to 7. And game kicked off at the same time as this Bulls game. So a high-scoring one in that regard as well. Might just be the time of the day that brings out the high-scoring matches. Now back across to the right-hand side, Zach Berger goes across there. Skip pass from Billy LaRue. Honeycomb unable to claim it cleanly. We have got our golf players always take liberties, says Justin. And we have got there Kiwi and Tuatara Safari. Not that I've been on. I'm also from a small town. Like, we have a hill. That's about as fancy as it gets. And now, going to be kicked downfield by Keegan Johannes. Does manage to put it into touch. Cape Town is the most beautiful and reminds me a bit of Mauritius, in places. But NATO has the Berg Mountains and the best weather, says Rehash. And Jake White's got 3 bottles of water that he is slowly working through. Probably stress drinking, I would think, after having that Johan Goosen injury. But sitting 24-0 up at the moment here for the Bulls. They will be more than happy with the way that this first half has gone. Now back across to the right-hand side. chance here for Cardiff to be, oh, that's a massive shot on Cameron Winnick. Sebastian de Klerk has absolutely squashed him in that shot. Gets the big handshake from Marcel Kurtzia. That's how you know you've done a good job. When one of your forwards come over and say, good hit, mate. In close game, I see. Says Bill. Yeah, Cameron Winnick just about to go for that kick in behind and just gets cleaned up. And you need to visit the garden route. Says Justin. Now will be the scrum feed for the Bulls. And that is the last thing that the Cardiff side actually want to do here, is end up giving the ball to the Bulls in a scrum. Because we saw what happened in the first scrum and they just bulldozed over them. My son's rugby season kicked off today. He's 12th grade now, so he's playing positions in full field now. He's playing open side first half, inside centre second half. His team got smoked 8-1, says Johnny. So 8-1, is that as in like they just play tries type thing? Like it's you just add the tries together? I know that my younger cousin, he played his first game of rugby of the season today and he broke his leg clean in half, so that's not good. And he is now out for, I would think, quite an extended period of time. But now ready to kick this one towards the sideline here for Devin Williams. No, sorry, Keegan Johannes. I should say. This is going to put them once again in a very dangerous position on the field. Sitting about 25 metres out from the line. So this is where you see another set piece come into play for the Bulls. Perhaps a rolling maul. What do the Bulls have to gain from this game? They have quite a bit. If they get a bonus point win in Glasgow, either only win up against Benetton or lose, it will mean that the Bulls then secure themselves the potential of a home semi if they also get a big win next week. So, like, there's a bit on the line, but they have to get a big win here just to try and keep that hope of a home semi-final alive. And your cousin here as well. Says Bill, that's 8 tries to 1. His teammates were bad, but he played really well. Got double player. That's a beautiful run there from Cobus Visa. Almost manages to get over the line again for the Bulls, and there was just a knock-on the ground. So it will be the scrum for Cardiff. Got the only try for his team, says Johnny there. And also good sunny afternoon, says Flesh, and welcome in, mate. I'm sure you are nervous at the moment, only a couple hours away from the big match. Scarlets. A day away and a bit, I should say, away from the Scarlets in action. You probably got confused there for a second at what game I was referring to. Poor little cousin, I hope that young Kiwi lad heals up ASAP and gets back out there, says Johnny. Visit Taiwan instead. There's a place I know where we can drink snake blood tequila, play mahjong in Taipei, says Christopher. I don't think I've ever been the best at mahjong. Currently 28 minutes in. They are just showing the scoreboard, and the reason that they are doing that is because the scoreboard, for some reason on the screen, has disappeared just for now. And now scrum feed for Cardiff. 5 metres out from their line, and it's crazy to think that this is a defensive scrum for Cardiff, but if the Bulls get the big push, just going straight down on the front row, Cardiff, but luckily for them, the ball has come out the back. And does get that ball into touch. Our thoughts on Chiefs Crusaders game? Very good first half from the Crusaders. In control, did most things right. Second half, the Chiefs went, we're just going to play now, and ended up doing pretty much everything right, and the Crusaders did most of the things that the Chiefs did wrong in the first half during the second. But one of the better games of Super Rugby we've seen in recent times. Hopefully those two sides do get to meet a little bit further down the line. And I'm a pro at being let down by my teams being Welsh, says Fleshin. You just never know, though. The most screaming pain I ever heard was from my friend when he snapped his leg in rugby. Says Rehash. Yeah, it's not the nicest thing to have happen during a game of rugby. We had a guy during a game of rugby league at school during lunchtime who pretty much snapped his arm the wrong way. So that wasn't that great. But yeah, he wasn't enjoying the game at that point. I saw a show last night about how much China hates Japan, says Albert. It doesn't surprise me that you watch documentaries about who hates each other the most, Albert, if I'm honest. Mooney, man of the match, what we thinking? He's definitely up there at the moment. The way that he's been playing throughout the first half has been outstanding. He's got himself a try. He's got himself the assist. So one more try in the second half, I think, would almost secure it for him, although there are a few other guys at the moment who are right up there in terms of what they have done so far. But a nice win under the high ball for Sebastian de Klerk, who looked for that fancy offload, and then Honeycomb just wasn't quite where he thought he was going to be. Does slam the ground out of frustration. That's what you like to see when you're a coach. 24-0 up. Players frustrated that they're making little mistakes that could have put you into the 30s ahead. That pretty much summarises this game. One of the Cardiff Blues coaches, he was doing this. So he is not happy at the moment with what he has seen from his side. I've lived 10 years in both China and Japan. Says Namo. I wish I was like you, Hamish, from a small town. Says Albert. You could move to a small town perhaps at some stage in your life and just enjoy the quiet life. I think the Wars are a different team this year, apart from the Raiders in the Storm game. Says Kiwi Rob. That's what they want you to think, Kiwi Rob. They do it every year. Everyone goes up the Warriors, it's their year, and then they find a way of messing it up in the playoffs. I hope this year's different, but they just like to tease Kiwis. That's going to be knocked on by Cardiff, picked up by Zach Berger, and the ball on the inside to Ruan Nokia. Now close to the sideline. I've been told to get out of there with Josh Adams. Cobus Visa, 10 metres out from the line here. Put there by Blue, and it's knocked on by Wilco Low. I am fighting tomorrow against our neighbour. Why? Like, is it like some sort of street organised fighting scene? If so, that is a very eventful street. But yeah, what's the reasoning behind fighting your neighbour? Is it going to be a hiding? Says Sean. And you're going to fudge him up, brother, says Johnny Blaze. Oh, Wilco Low, he's already scored himself a try in this contest. The Bulls are currently sitting on 3, so one more would give them the bonus point in this matchup. 24-0 Cardiff coach should throw the towel in, says Spider Mick. Yeah, we're still relatively early in this contest, about 30 minutes in, and already we are seeing quite a few of the Cardiff players feeling that fatigue. Corey Dumachowski just getting a little bit of attention there. It does look like he's going to be all right to continue in this contest. Like I've said, just some absolutely massive players in this Bulls 4-pack. 950 kgs heading into this contest. And now Cardiff have got themselves the scrum feed, but that will not be an easy one, as this Bulls side are pretty much on the verge of getting a penalty every time that ball gets put in. Where you live, I'll bring popcorn, says Lilia B. Now, ready to feed this ball in. And it's gone down on the far side. And we have got there, it's a classic neighbourly duel about the screaming and metal music at 4 a.m. I like the two islands I've been to the most, and want to live under a coconut tree and travel by tortoise, says Rehash. And just smile, then completely forgot to punch you, says Ruth. And let's go the Bulls. Says Ruth there. Shoulders up is the call from the ref to Corey Dumachowski. It's easier said than done when you've got Wilco Low in front of you. Known for being a bit of a bulldozer in the scrums. I think that Rassie will be keeping a close eye on him as well here as we head towards those internationals. But the ball is fed in. They have managed to just retain that one. They've been folded over the top. Josh Adams, I don't even think that man has had a run of the ball as of yet, but he has been able to clear that one quite decently. They're saying it's a great fight by Cardiff. At the moment, they're trying hard in those scrums, but every time it's just on that verge. Now another line-out throw here for the Bulls. Still probably about 9 or so minutes remaining. At the moment, we don't actually see a timer on the screen, as I think they were having a few scoreboard technical difficulties. Jake White must be red with happiness, and we'll tag team your neighbour, me and you. Give him the Tim Tam Slam, says Johnny Blaze. Now that one's going to be into the hands of Kieran Azarati. Back across to the left-hand side here for Cardiff. Drawing pass. Once again going to be knocked on. Every time there's just that little mistake that ends up costing them. Come on, the ball, says Outlaw. The coconuts don't really grow here in South Africa properly, says Rehash. That's a little bit like mangoes here. If mangoes could go properly or grow properly in New Zealand, I would probably have quite a few mango plants or mango trees in my backyard. But sadly, they just don't. In fact, if I lived in Australia, that would be the first thing that I buy. I would buy like mango plants / trees. I can't remember what they grow on. I think they grow on trees, don't they? The old mangoes. I would buy a mango tree before I buy a couch. Because I can lie on the floor, but at least I could have mangoes. They also have a thing called a supermarket, which could probably also have them. Thanks for doing the game. I'm busily travelling. Great job, Philip from Pretoria. Thank you very much for being here. We are going to be back for that Stormers versus Dragons game as well. So if you are still travelling, be sure to pop in too. And Bulls should be playing in European Championship. They have a good defence with Pollard in the team for next season. They'll be a threat. Says Dennis. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they get on in that Champions Cup competition. They were knocked out relatively early. They had a bit of fight in the Challenge Cup up until being knocked out by Edinburgh. I think that having a URC title under their belt would be a massive confidence booster for this side too. So we do sit 34 minutes and the scoreboard has just now come back. Zach Berger going away to the left-hand side. Now pops it in behind him. Moody finds David Creel. Moody has been absolutely everywhere throughout this first half. Any predictions on the game? I'm thinking that, honestly, this sounds harsh, but 50 points could be on the cards. It's another great run from Harold Foster, and they'll only be 3 metres out from the line, but the penalty goes against Jan-Hendrik Vessels, jumps in off his feet, and gets pushed around a little bit by Carter for his troubles. He did apologise and looked at the ref and said, yep, that's on me. Slightly got overzealous. We watch Top 14 later? Probably not. They don't actually show it here in New Zealand, unfortunately, live. So it does make it very tricky. Warriors blew a 14-point lead. Says Damo. I bought 5 tickets for the South Africa versus Barbarians. It's the most expensive rugby tickets I ever bought. I only did it because it's the very first Barbarians game on South African soil. Yeah, I think the British and Irish Lions Store people have found out how expensive that can be as well to be able to go to the games. I thought a South African, although a South African, I'm not a Bulls supporter. They are playing really good rugby, says Yuppie. So who's your South African side? Yuppie, do let me know. Of course, Stormers in action just a little bit later on. We can grow avocado trees up here, but no fruit, says Fleshin. Yeah, see, that might be the same with mangoes here. You could probably get the tree going, but you probably couldn't get anything to quite blossom on it. And that's going to be the penalty now for the Bulls. And this will be now the chance to be able to kick towards the corner. One last crack before the halftime break. We have there, howdy, are you actually an AI bot? That would be a lot easier than talking for multiple hours in the weekend, but no, we are ourselves. I don't even know how you would program an AI bot. I guess you could probably program a bot to do your commentary, couldn't you? And I can just sit next to it and every once in a while chime in and it would probably shut me down and say, listen, we're doing the commentary. It takes an avocado tree 15 years to bear fruit. That's quite crazy, isn't it? Like, it's a long-term investment in avocado tree, except you only pay once. I guess if you're watering it, it probably costs a little bit. Now running forward here for Cameron Honeycomb. Scoreboard's broken again, and it will soon need to be updated as JF van Heerden. It's only a couple metres from the try line. You go the Bulls. There's Ab Willis. Less than 5 metres away from the try line. Zach Berger. That one smacks straight into Marcel Kurtzia. It's going to be the scrum for Blue, but there was a knock-on from Cardiff. And north of Durban towards Richards Bay, you get decent coconuts. Says Albert. Avocado's long bloody way. Isn't it also for an avocado, like there's male and female trees or something? Or there's something to do with the avocado that's like it has to mate with the other sex to be able to actually grow fruit. Like you can have an avocado tree, but if it's a male, it won't actually produce fruit. Is that right? I don't know how we ended up with the avocado knowledge being spilled in the chat, but I'm looking forward to finding out. I prefer plants that germinate from fire, says Christopher. And we have got their Lovell's South African sides. Bulls are my team. They're doing great at the moment, says Philip. Yeah, they're looking extremely sharp throughout this contest already. 24 points to 0. 15 years down, my plants give me fruit every year, says Johnny. Now ball is going to be fed, and this is dangerous. 5 metres out from the line. The Bulls, I think, would be quite disappointed if they weren't able to score. Honeycomb off the back gets over and scores the try that now puts them up to 29. fertilisation, Hamish, male and female tree. The thing is, I always wonder about that though, because it's like the trees, you know, they have to, animals can go and walk to each other. Trees are stuck. So do you like rub the trees together or something and that kind of does it? Or is it all done under the ground? They give it a little bit of a twisting of the roots per se. But that is a great try from Cameron Honeycomb, breaking off the back for the scrum, and the Bulls are just really doing well here. And a bonus point win, says Outlaw. It must be a fruit because vegetables don't grow on trees, right? Says Rehash. Yeah, I believe because it's got a stone, it is also the fruit. And we have the Honeycomb is super freaky charged. But now does kick that ball over. And that is going to make the score 31 points to 0. It's called wind pollination, Hamish, says Garnet there. So the pollination from the male tree goes onto the female. So could you theoretically find a male avocado tree, take a bit of pollen from it, and then go and put it on your female tree, save the wind, and just do it yourself? Kind of like artificial pollination. And I, Hamish, hoping the Bulls or the Sharks win. I'm not biased, says Brian. And go the Bulls, says Ab there, and Bees as well. And thank you, Hamish. It's so lovely to have proper rugby punditry on my screen again. Over the last few days, overhyped yawn festival of a Lions squad announcement. I did see you really hate the Lions, don't you, Robert? Like, I saw that you had about 5 comments on that squad video saying that the Lions tour is terrible. A lot of people looking forward to it, though. But now, sitting about 42 metres out from the line, going off to the left, Cardiff, can they get one try before the halftime break? It's going to be tough to do. And definitely with the handling that they've had, it's going to be kicked downfield from David Creel. This is once again a danger ball, just running away, slaps it back in. And Josh Adams has to clean it up at halftime. It is sitting 31 points to 0. Every living thing on earth begins with seeds and pollination by insects, birds, and wind, says Russell, and that's why bees and birds are important. So you are telling me about the birds and the bees. But yeah, I feel like they get a little bit of a bad rap at times, the old bees, but I feel like that's more wasps. Wasps are kind of like the evil brother of the bees. Your teeth have a gap. Wow. We now know that Abe is not blind. We have got their awesome Bulls, says Outlaw. Did the male rub its branch on the female avo tree to bear fruit? Apparently not. Apparently the wind got involved. The wind's kind of like the doctor. And it creates everything. And the insects. The insects do get involved as well. A channel of seductively pollinating avocados and dodgy 80s disco music playing, says Christopher. But yeah, very high scoring halftime here for the Bulls, managing to get themselves a 31-0 lead. Managed to score themselves the 4 tries. So no matter what from this game, unless Cardiff can win this one, the Bulls are getting 5 points, which then puts the pressure that little bit more on Glasgow to be able to perform in their game just a little bit later on up against Benetton. And we are going to be covering the Dragons versus Stormers game. But that is taking place at the same time. So we will keep you, of course, updated with what is happening there. 70-0, says Robert, as his score prediction. Some education sources in the chat when Avo meets Cardos. Says Blues, Nate. Go away, says Abe's. I'd assume with a name like Abe's 2014, I'd assume that you're only about 11 years old, Abe. So we won't go too hard on you in terms of the insults because you are just a child and that would be considered bullying. But, yeah, thanks for being here, I guess. They are just showing some of the highlights of the first half. The Bulls were very strong. Did you hear about the guys who died last weekend in motorbikes? Says on the right. We have got there. I know avocado trees are not. That's a big word, so we just won't bother. Bulls will be in the final. They should be. And the thing is, they should have a home semi too. If everything goes their way in the next little while. Archo says Lilia B. And there as well. But yeah, that's a great offload from Johan Rovela. That actually created the first try of the contest. Moody with the chip in behind. And then Foster did score it. The Bulls are just bullying Cardiff at this point. Oh, Abe learned a bad word, did he? And Pollard had an excellent match last night against Sale Sharks. 2 great assists and some 2 tries for LT. I really hope some South Africans will stop the nonsense talk that our general can only kick, says Eric. But that's the thing, like from that last World Cup, looking at statistics, like South Africa were not one of the sides that were kicking the most. It was New Zealand and England. So I feel like that kind of stigma of like Pollard only kicks is also, it's gone downhill a little bit. I'll give their runaway game for the Bulls, says Lilia B. Let's hook up, says Abe. I feel like you've been listening to your mother too much. All the blokes she's been seeing, but it's a good backline movement there for the Bulls. And they just seem to be able to really find space out wide. Bulls, says Anamart. And halftime score for the Bulls is 31-0. That'll be another 4 from 4 wins for South African teams this weekend. And while we're at it, we might as well mention what's happening next weekend as well, ladies and gents. These are the matches. This is the last round right here up until the quarterfinals. So it is do or die for all of these sides. Stormers will be playing Cardiff. So they are pretty much just switching with the Bulls in terms of opposition. As you can see, the Bulls are playing the Dragons. And then Lions have the Ospreys. That game probably won't get anyone into the top 8. And then the Sharks versus Scarlets. That is the game taking place at 5:30 a.m. That will be 7:30 p.m. for you guys in South Africa. So 3 games back-to-back might be on the cards for us next week. And then there is actually that game taking place between Leinster and Glasgow, which is such a shame that it overlaps with that Sharks-Scarlets game. I don't know whether or not maybe does the timing change a little bit, like some daylight saving or something that creates that game to not be an overlap? Because I would ideally want to cover both of those ones. And we have got there, out of Cardiff get 0. Yeah, like they honestly haven't looked that likely to score either, which I think is a bit of a concern. Did you watch the interview with Bongi after the Sharks game? I did not see it. No, what did he say? And that one, do trees build a room for some private time? I think that they just have to have a bit of open air loving for the trees, because it's probably quite hard to organise when you can't really move other than just in the breeze. We have their next Stormers versus Cardiff. Says Spider Meek and thinks Stormers going to beat the Dragons 100-0. Although, does the fact that it is raining at the moment maybe mean that it will be a bit lower scoring? Open windows, says the Blues name, and thanks, Albert, I suspect. That's what the word meant. I just didn't want to show my ignorance, says Russell. And also, we have got there all the blokes she's been seeing, says Rehash. But yeah, I do think that Cardiff should be able to get at least maybe 1 try in this half. Like, there are gaps at times in this Bulls defence. It's just that Cardiff have dropped the ball far too often to be able to find them. But the Bulls lately, their defence has been absolutely outstanding throughout their last couple of games. Happy Mother's Day to our beautiful mums. See Johnny Blaze and there as well. Yeah, that is one of the reasons why we've done slightly less games over this weekend in terms of Super Rugby. It is because we're going out for a family lunch in about 9 hours' time. So we will be doing these 2 games, going to sleep at about 7 a.m., waking up at 11, and then getting ready to go. 12-0 for the Bulls. Is that for your second half score, Abe? And when did Cardiff land in South Africa for this game in this week? Says Salah, I'd assume that it was quite a quick turnaround, as the most recent game was at home up against Munster. That was on the 26th of April, though. So maybe, 10 days, something like that, I would assume would be when they would have wanted to head to South Africa. Although you can't go too early, can you? Because or else then it costs quite a bit of extra money to be able to stay. And Cardiff waiting for the Bulls bench to score the 4 tries last 20. You heard it here first, says Eric. And also, Mother's Day, Hamish, love to your mum. And also, we have got there 3,330 to 0 for the Bulls. So you're going with a very high scoring second half by the looks of that. I think that about 60 or 70 points might be a bit better in terms of the prediction. And we have got the huge match here at the Moses Stadium, 3 times louder than the Sharks yesterday. Says Rehash. How's the weather in Pretoria? As winter kicked in, it actually looks pretty nice. About 23 degrees Celsius, I believe it was sitting the last time that I saw. Cape Town, cold and wet. Yeah, Cape Town's a whole different story. It has been pouring all day by the sounds of it, so that game's going to be heavily impacted by the weather. Hamish's mum once did the commentary. She did. Me and her covered most of the Women's World Cup together on the channel. We have got there. It's very cold and rainy currently in Cape Town. Says Morne Lagrange. They just showing that try from Cameron Hanekom again. JP Fari. I'm a bit confused at Mart's name, and you pretty much spam JP Fari every live stream to do with the Bulls, but that's it. Like, that's pretty much the only thing that you put. So, like, I'm wondering, like, who is this JP? Is he, like, someone you really like and you just always talk about him? Or is it just a name that you decide to put all the time? It's horrible. Big Storm. They've got there the current time, the halftime break. Sitting currently 31-0. She birthed the legendary Hamish, so heaps of love to her. Trees need high, strong winds to pollinate. Says Ruth. And Mother's Day is tomorrow. It's for mothers, not men in dresses. Says Bruce. Oh, yeah, of course, for you guys in South Africa, it is a little bit later on, isn't it, in terms of the Mother's Day stage. It's Mother's Day currently here in New Zealand. Although I don't think there'll be many mothers up at 3 a.m. Local time in South Africa, currently sitting 4:55. And heard the weather isn't good at the moment in Cape Town. Yeah, looking pretty bad for that Stormers versus Dragons game, but that's not a bad thing. I guess for the Dragons, it might actually make them have a little bit more of a chance. 50 points to 5 is the score prediction there from Rian for the in score. And Amat Sneyman, are you okay? Says Johnny, I am under the blankets. Says Julian. My APTV stream is messed up today. I only got it sorted now. How was the half? It was eventful for the Bulls. You know, they've managed to get themselves the 4 tries already, so they have got the bonus point on the cards. And we have got there, what about Auntie Day? Says Rehash. I don't know whether or not they do have an Auntie Day. It probably falls into Mother's Day, because your auntie might be a mother, so I guess you could get away with that maybe. It also looks like 2 litres fell in 10 minutes. Yeah, so that's not going to be too flash for the freeness of the game, I would say. And Mother's Day is in March up here, says Fleshin. Interesting. It's weird, isn't it, the fact that Mother's Day falls on a different day depending on where you are around the world. But I guess it's just is what it is. I'm 49, says Abe. So what's with the 2014 in your like name? Is that when you discovered Gmail and that was when you made the account maybe? And sometimes I think the captain should be allowed to re-sign when you know there is no hope and nothing more to play for. Oh, sorry, you should be able to resign. Yeah, although like I feel like it's not really what sides. Like I don't think there'd be many sides that would do it because you're just in that scenario of you don't want to be known as the side that just quit. You know, a lot of these sides, even when they're losing badly, will still try and put some sort of fight in. You're also covering tomorrow's match between Lions and the Scarlets. We're covering it in a way. We are actually doing the main live stream for New Zealand versus South Africa. So, yeah, it's one of those situations that we won't be doing the live commentary per se, but we will be giving updates all throughout the match. Because, yeah, New Zealand versus the South Africans in their under-20s competition could be quite a good one. But now, it looks like they are about to get back out there. And we have there every day is Mother's Day, says Duncan. George agrees. He absolutely loves mothers. We have there Cardiff still can get the bonus point from the game to help. We have got there, I can get it to you. Are you okay with that? Is the lesson for a while? You sure you're 49? Because that's just not a sentence at all. We have got JP Fore is an important what? And also, oh no, I read that one, didn't I? And also, at the same time as Hull Nimet, they don't know, isn't it? They don't know what we know. Now, ready to take that one nicely as Roa Nokia, George the Waimeti Milf Hunter. And we have got there the same time as they don't know what we know, worth of 5 and 6. Without Mother, we would not be here. Hip, hip, hooray, says Ruth. And yeah, stay away from the Scarlets, please, says Fleshin. Now, taken there, Cameron Winnett. Second half back underway. No, if you need anything, let me know. I can get it to you tomorrow morning. Be blessed. What about mangoes? We were talking about them earlier on, or avocados. I'm not the biggest fan of avocados, but now rolling this ball back for Johan Mulder. Going to be kicking this one up high. Obviously taking it the back for Keegan Johannes. He's done okay throughout this second half. We have got there some thunder in Cape Town. Mother I love forever, says Rehash. And now kicking him behind. Sits up. A little bit of kicking to start off the second half by the looks of it from both sides. Going to be kicked high. Now from Ben Thomas, chasing after this one was Cameron Winnett. Now offloaded up. This is a good note. They've just well and truly butchered it. I was about to say this is a good move. But unfortunately there, it did end up just giving the ball straight back into the hands of the Bulls. And rubbing trees together, says Robert. I get it to you tomorrow morning. Be blessed with the same time as the lesson is the same time I don't. Sounds like some sort of poetry that I don't understand, but symbolic. Going off, little kick behind from Zach Berger. Going to be slapped backwards. Oh, a bit of a fumble there again here for Cardiff. They have not started the second half with some good handling, that is for sure. Dropping the ball multiple times and just making their coach, I'm sure, very nervous. Going back across. People taking 20 minutes to explain pollination of avocado to Hamish. Hamish is just like, me, I don't like avocados. Well, I'd eat an avocado, but I'd have it with something. I'm not a fan of avocado by itself. On a cracker or in a salad or something, it's not too bad. Now kick downfield. Nicely taken by Johannes again. Just inside of their own 22 here, the Bulls. Just inside their own half. Little chip behind from Billy LaRue. Sits up for Sebastian de Klerk, and that is a bit of class from LaRue. A great finish from Seb de Klerk. And the Bulls are on the board again. Avocados are a superfood. You have to like them, says Lilia B. And Sever so quick, says Eric. Avo and bacon burger. I haven't actually had too many avocado and bacon burgers in my time. Billy LaRue, just a little chip. He saw the space, knew that Sebastian de Klerk would be roughly there, and then once again Cardiff just caught out of position. Nachos, says Lilia B. I had a thing a while ago that people made fun of the way that I had nachos one time. So, haven't had them in a while. That's a weird kicking tee of Keegan Johannes. Has a whole heap of little balls on it. In terms of holding the ball in place rather than just the generic ones that hold them in a few different positions. LaRue, general of the proceedings, yeah, he's looked great throughout this matchup. Like, I know that Kane Moody has had a huge amount of praise throughout this game, but, like, yeah, Billy LaRue has been on fire too. I'm watching the game on Supersport, but listen to your commentary, more exciting. Says Wildlife South Africa, USA consumes more avocado than the entire world combined. Well, there you go. And cricket score coming up. Stay tuned, chats. So here's the Blues, Nate. Kicked off long by Cardiff. Score sitting 38 points to 0. This is going from bad to worse for Cardiff. This is a side that I believe will be within the top 8. As long as, well, actually, now that I think about it, I know that we've talked about a few other sides going up and down, but is Cardiff one of those teams that could actually miss out here? If the Stormers get themselves the win, Cardiff drop down to 7th. And then if we see the Stormers beat Cardiff next week, maybe Cardiff miss out after 2 very tough games in South Africa to end out the comp. Or maybe they stop the Stormers from going through. That is the other fact. No, I think the Stormers would be safe either way if they get themselves the win over the Dragons. They have already made a couple changes here, Cardiff. Going back across to Mulder. They have just been very impressive across the whole board here, the Bulls. They haven't really done a huge amount wrong. When LaRue is on fire, he's amazing. We got banned from 3 channels for my Lions comments. It's overhyped, nonetheless, or nothing less, or nothingness, sorry. Just the home nations fluffing their feathers to help them feel better about their rugby. Yeah, but it's still, like, it's been around for a pretty long time in the rugby world. It's the same as the Barbarian. Some people are against that side, but, you know, it is what it is. The Lions Tour, it's still one of those ones that outside of the World Cup, people get excited for. So I feel like they should be allowed to. I get it to you tomorrow morning. Be blessed with the same time as the same time as the same time as the same. Tell you what, you're turning into a little bit of a rap artist in there, Willis. Spinning that track, as the cool kids would say. Securing a Springbok spot, I think he needs one or two more caps to reach 100. And I do think that Rassie will give him that opportunity to be able to do it. I thought Cardiff was rock bottom. Going by this performance, says Rehash. Yeah, you wouldn't believe that they are in 6th at the moment. Definitely because they've hardly been able to handle the ball throughout this match. Although that might change just here. Mulder going to be going off to the right-hand side. Chance here, close to the try line, shoveling it on. Chance out on the wing. Oh, I think he's gone. I think he was out. You're a good friend, and I can get it to you tomorrow morning. Be blessed with the same as the same time I can do it. Would you have to you can get? Woo. That's quite the mouthful, isn't it? But it just felt like a woo was justified at the end of it. Missing South African clubs playing games against New Zealand, and now I can support New Zealand clubs when they play Australian clubs. Love it when Aussie clubs lose. I agree, Martinez. And also, we were there Cardiff week. Can't brag if you win a team, or if you win a team like they play today. So we are just seeing the replay. And, oh, no, to be fair, he might have actually finished that one, Alex, man. I thought that maybe Johannes managed to tie up his legs and put them into touch, but I think they might have been in the air. So I think that might just about be the try for Cardiff here. Oh, no, this angle will show it. If Keegan Johannes was able to put the foot in touch. I think that foot is down at that point. We're not going to be able to see it from that angle, though. So this might be just about all right for Alex Mann, or that toe. I think that's going to be a try. It is tight. I don't think it's going to change the outcome of this game. They're looking at it 15 times. Our line is one of the classic rugby spectacles, says Rehash. And GGGGG, I can get it. We'll definitely be there in a few minutes late for, says Abe. Right, this angle. I don't know why we have to look at this 5,000 times. They're checking it. At the end of the day, like, it's close. You could argue you can't see that it's out. So for that reason, I feel like you kind of have to award it. Because the foot theoretically would bounce up at that moment. I think you just give the try. Okay, no clear evidence to show that the foot's in touch, so they will award the try. And Cardiff get themselves their first of the match. Missing South African teams versus the Chiefs. Brumbies, Fiji teams. Used to be a different level of play. And we have there, well there, Fleshin. You have a great time. Stay out of trouble. And the Bulls win, they are second. That is correct. Although Glasgow do still have themselves a game up against Benetton. Taking place just around the corner. That is a fantastic kick near the sideline for Cardiff. Ben Thomas, the man who was able to convert. And finally, Cardiff scored. Says LFG, yeah, they've had to work extremely hard for it. But getting there in the end. And comes at a welcome time. I feel like they needed one try throughout this game. Oh, no. And then they just made another mistake, dropping the ball. Bulls counter-attack from inside of the 22. They might get themselves a try within a minute of Cardiff scoring. Now they do have to release him. Going back across to this right-hand side here for the Bulls. Zach Berger going to Willie LaRue, who's looked really strong. Playing from that 10 jersey after the change. Although Keegan Johannes is also in there. I think LaRue's just kind of floating in that back line. Now that little chip in behind from Moody. And it does just roll dead this time. Getting a bit too much on it. I'm a kid. What's your name? Roma kid, go back to mama. And if you want to cry, go back to you. Are you on something, Abe? Some of the things you're saying are a bit out there, aren't they? In terms of You're unpredictable, I think, would be a generous way of putting it. Flesh and have one for me, says Spider Mick. Now, will be the goal line dropout here for Ben Thomas. Going to get a little bit of decent distance on it. Nicely taken round the halfway line. Big shot coming in on Cobus Visa. The Bulls, says Anna. And Villaroo, yep, another legend. Hope he gets his 100 caps, says Johnny Blaze. Seb de Klerk sells the dummy, cuts inwards, 40 metres out from the line. Once again, the scoreboard is broken. So they've had some real troubles with it at Loftus throughout this match. Come on, the Bulls, says Robert. And shit, those trucks, says Luke. Now, going back across to the left-hand side. Don't push, you don't listen, right? That's why you should in Dominic. Why Dominic catch Australia in that scenario? Take food, take your boots, go back to Namibia. Are you like in another chat at the same time and you're confusing your messages? What? Because who's from Namibia? I think Abe got banned once here before, says Rehash. He might be banned from a Namibian chat, maybe. But yeah, I'm not too sure who his Namibian nemesis is. But just waiting for that pass, and then Sebastian de Klerk does knock it on. Do you also have Carling Black Label in Kiwi Land? I don't... Oh, I'm not 100% sure. While we've got a stoppage here, I will have a Google. See whether or not you can get it like Super Liquor or something. That's a store in New Zealand. Can you buy Super Liquor stuff online? I'd assume that you'd be able to. Am I over 18? Sure. My region. Okay, I didn't realize it was going to be a quiz to be able to get to just being able to look for it. So what is it? Just Black Label. Johnny Walker Black Label is a thing here, apparently, but no Black Label that you mentioned. Carling Black Label, I don't think. But there might be somewhere that you can get it. And Abe is really a computer, somewhere being self-aware. It's clearly having some problems. Listen to me, don't push it. I think Philly LaRue next Springbok cap is 100. Yeah, he's right on the verge, isn't he? And I feel like he does, like some people firmly believe that he shouldn't be in there, but I think give him his 100 at least. Like the way that he's played for the Bulls throughout the season at times is enough, I believe, to get him in to the side too. And USA President, says Roof, and on my way to the stadium, go the Stormers, cold. Is it raining at the moment, Samuel, where you are? Because I know that someone mentioned how it was raining earlier on for this matchup. They are once again just showing the game time at the moment. Sitting 50 minutes and 38 points to 7. And a whole heap of changes are just being made now. I think they've made, is that 5 changes here for Cardiff? I need to arrange DHL of case of Black Label to you. Hello, I'm 50 years old. Did you just have your birthday? Because you said you were 49 before. So happy birthday, Abe. Everyone sing happy birthday to Abe, please. The man has just had his birthday at this very moment, even though we are not on a new day than what we were 15 minutes ago. And Bulls the Boss, what do you think, Hamish? They've had a great game here. Like, they've done extremely well in terms of their tackling. They've really looked dangerous on attack. And if they play like this in the quarterfinals, I think most sides would get beaten by them. But the question is, will they be playing a South African side in those playoff matches? Stormers are 6th at the moment with potential of going a little bit higher. Feliz Aniversario, Abe. Oh, nice pass again. Sebastian de Klerk slides in. And it is another try. No, I'm South African. You use Namibian. Who's talking about Namibia? I don't think anyone's mentioned Namibia other than yourself, Abe, in this one. And Abe hits a half century, says Roof, and the Bulls rapid firing in the score half, broken the scoreboard. Do the Welsh have a team in the top 8? At the moment, they have 2. The Scarlets and the Cardiff Blues, although at the end of the next round, if they do have another loss, Cardiff might find themselves missing out on the top 8. The Ospreys are about 11th or 12th at the moment as well. Oh my gosh, Cardiff scored at some point. They did out wide. Nice try scored by Alex Mann. Marcel Kutsia for the box. Honestly, with the way he's playing this year, and if Khaleesi is now playing 8, which I don't know if he is going to internationally, but if he does play as a number 8, that would open a bit of a door at number 6 for someone else to sneak in. That one's gone over from Keegan Johannes. They'll make the score 45 points to the 7. Don't think Cardiff are going to stay in the top 8, says Cobra. Yeah, it's going to be tough because if they play like this up against the Stormers, they are also going to really struggle. We have there, well done, my Bulls, says Wildlife. And also we have got there, I think you show capture on screen and ask Abe if he can see it. Says Christopher. And I see a sexy girl sitting there in seat 44B, block M. That's very specific. How did you know that's her seat if she's sitting on it? I assume maybe you're looking at like the seat next to or a little bit further down. It's even weirder for us in the chat who blocked Dave. Says Albert, and 50 potential, 60 coming up, says LFG. And yeah, 45-7 at the moment after 53 minutes. So the bonus point is secured. And now it's just about increasing that points differential. Pretty fun, thanks, Hamish. Have to go shave my aunt's legs. See you later, says Rehash. Well, hopefully that does go well. And what else can you say to that? Like, there's not much. Give it a good go. Hamish, are you married, sir? I am not. I'm also single, so I'm even further away from marriage than just not married. I'm able to attempt fixing Far East electronic equipment without watching. So many items to fix, says JG, and refresh or rehash, I'll pray for you, brother, says Johnny. Now, Cardiff are in possession just inside of the Bulls half. And the thing is, a bonus point for them here would actually probably not do too badly for them in terms of the overall standings. It might almost be enough to keep them within that top 8. So that might be the mindset here for Cardiff. Just go all out. Maybe they'll concede a few tries, but in terms of that points differential, oh, that was a big clean out from Marcel Kurtz. The other ball dropped out wide. Billy LaRue pushing the player over, apologising to him afterwards. But I think they will just check to see if Marcel Kurtzia just took someone out. I think you have to put up with Amish, a bunch of weirdos. And we have got there, I can't see him, Amish, he blocked me, says Blues Nate. You can learn a lot from Cardiff, for example, how to knock on like a pro. Says on the right, but yeah, the pass on the outside, just a little bit too far out in front of Cameron Winnett. Where's the Marcel Kurtzia clean out here? Josh Adams. Oh no, it was way earlier than that one. I have no idea who sits where. Says ARC. Jake has no water bottles this week. Something must be wrong. He had 3 in the first half, so he must have finished all of those. The man loves being hydrated. Yeah, someone stole his water. It's not very nice, is it? And I'm looking for a good woman. Says Samuel. Aren't we all, Samuel? Hard to find. Although I haven't really been looking that hard, so yeah. And speak for yourself, thanks, says Luke. And Turkey, enjoy you as always, says Petrus. Yeah, I do appreciate you being here. 25 minutes till the end of this game, but after that we are going to be jumping over to our Dragons versus Stormers stream. It's not a mile away. Is there a break before the Stormers game? Only a very brief one, so we will be starting at 4:05. So by the time this game comes to an end, we're probably looking at about 20-minute break, somewhere around there, but we are starting 10 minutes before that Stormers versus Dragons game. Hard to find a good woman on a rugby chat, but worth a try, suppose, is on the right. Yeah, you meet people in all sorts of random places, don't you, nowadays? You just got to make sure that they are actually a woman and not a bloke, because we've had that before in terms of the chat. People have gone and fallen in love with female viewers to find out that they are a male. I can now vote for the man of the match. Says Cobra. Stormers 83, Dragons -6 is JG. And great ones in South Africa, Hamish. Says Johan Smith. Now going off to the left-hand side, Billy LaRue pops the pass up. Now it's knocked on, but they'll go back for the penalty in favour of the Bulls. Speak for yourselves, I'm looking for the bad ones, the real bunny boilers. I can't help myself, says Christopher. And we have got You're Too Sweet, says Ruth to Robert. I'm so glad that Ruth is here today. She's my crush on your channel, but she also, I believe, likes the British and Irish Lions tour. So is that a deal breaker for you, Robert, if she likes the British and Irish Lions? Now, Villiers LaRue, he will be able to kick this one towards the touch line. And that one does go into touch. It'll be about 40, or in fact, probably 48 metres out. I miss Chloe. Chloe was a man, I believe. She was one of the examples that we were talking about, as Chloe was their alternative account. Because they messed up once because they talked, or they mentioned a message as Chloe on their other account. So we kind of went, that's happened. But now, nicely taken by J.F. Van Heeren. Now Marcel Kutsia. Kicking behind from Zach Berger, just looking for a little bit of territory here again. And they don't really have to rush this one, the Bulls, and that's going to be knocked on by Kirsten. I'm disgusted with myself now, says Justin. Well, to be fair, she didn't straight up say I'm a bloke. So that's not against you, I guess you could say. You just believe what she said. He said, sorry. Sorry. I'm just, we have got there, yes, give me a hot Mexican and leather tight pants, says Ruth. We have got there, are you looking for romance or the rugby, says on the right. Maria Sharapova, says Johan. Now ready to put this ball in at scrum time. Okay, referee just helping them out at the moment in terms of their setting of the scrum. Sitting with 21 minutes remaining. 45 points to 7. Just how it sits at the moment. So the top 8, of course, well and truly secure for the Bulls. Blues not so much at the moment. They have got a chance getting knocked down if they lose their next 2 games. Chloe played us all. Took ages to wash off the betrayal, says Christopher. Right, another scrum reset. It's the thing, there hasn't been a lot of fight back from Cardiff, so there really hasn't been a lot to talk about in terms of their side for this match. Every couple of phases, they've dropped the ball, which then gives the Bulls the possession straight back. And the Bulls have just been in control. They've gone for the kicks in behind. They've managed to play a very smart territory game as well as taking their chances when they get them. They've got the bonus point already, so they can kind of go into cruise mode here. What's the second half score? 7-7, I believe. So I think that, yeah, a little bit lower scoring. Or was it? No, it might have been 14-7. Was it 31-0 at halftime? Or 38? Can't quite remember. One of the two, though. Another try, LaRue, please. 50 up. Last 20 minutes, and this could get to 60. Says Salah. And see with the Stormers game, says ARC. So we will see a little bit later on. Cardiff now trying to use their backline. Guess what? They've knocked it on again. Just too many mistakes coming for Cardiff. It seems to be that last pass isn't finding their hands. What did you think of the Lions team announcement? Wasn't a mile off what I thought they'd go with. Pollock getting selected was always going to be a yes or a no situation. Daly was the big surprise for me. And I think Darcy Graham was a little bit unlucky to miss out. And they went with Hansen instead in that regard. But now 19 minutes left and we get ourselves another scrum. I'm in love with Bardot, the Amazon, and 31-0 at halftime, says Salah. So yeah, halftime compared to now 14-7, what we have seen between these two sides for the second 20 minutes. Points differential sneaking up there a little bit, people. We're this close to starting a GoFundMe to get Chloe to visit Hamish. Poor Hamish, you dodged a bullet, says Christopher. Yeah, that would have been interesting. She would have, well, he would have said hello. I wouldn't have recognised it, him. But now, penalty goes the way of the Bulls. The most up-and-coming lower-tier rugby team, Georgia, Spain, Uruguay. Wait till USA start shaping. Oh, Sharks forgot about those tariffs. I won't be able to watch, visit, or invest in, says JG. I mean, Georgia have always been one side that has been talked about quite a bit. Spain have looked pretty decent as well. We have got their 38 British and Irish Lions named, but they are taking 40 players, so I wonder who'll still be included. And the thing is, there's still multiple weeks that we could see injuries. You know, you could see some of the top guys getting out of the tour due to picking up little knocks. And then from there, you see a few of those other guys going in. Spain and the Sevens, absolutely. Spain have been phenomenal in the Sevens game as of late. And a much-deserved finish where they did overall in the outcome of all of the leagues, really. MIA far too long. Says Johnny Blaze. The Bulls currently 10 metres out from the line. Zach Berg, a terrible pass to Kirsten. It was down round his bootlaces and the big man couldn't quite get down in time. Cardiff now have this ball. It's actually going to be Alex Mann who decides to kick this one downfield. Running back here for Villy LaRue. Going back across to the side. Chance here for Sebastian de Klerk trying to go through and moves up to the halfway line. Seems like once again the Bulls are on the verge of getting themselves another Mornay though. Pops it up into the hands of Kutsia who did knock it on. And we'll go back for another scrum. This game has lost its momentum in terms of the free-flowingness that we saw in the first half. The Bulls maybe just trying to force it a little bit more. URC boring up the Mighty Chiefs. Says Revelation. Send me a girl from Kiwiland, please, Hamish. Says Johan Smith. What kind of age are you looking for, Johan? I'm sure we could find someone. But they are just showing the man of the match nominees at the moment. There is Alex Mann, there is Kanan Moody, and there's Johan Robillard. Well, I think Moody's winning that one out of those three. I do think that Villy LaRue definitely deserves a shout in terms of their man of the match option. It's surprising that they've got Alex Mann in there when they're losing by 38 points. Yes, he scored the try, but they're losing by 38 points. If the Bulls don't score anymore and Cardiff gets 16, then Kurt Cobain didn't lie to me. As Seva's man of the match. But what is this commentator smoking? Maybe burger grass. 40 to 50, not full of... Well, that's quite hard to do, I would say, in terms of... Like, Kiwi ladies, not like I'm an expert on them at all, but normally they'll take a little bit of the piss out of you. You know, they'll probably mock you a little bit, probably swear at you a little bit too. But if you remember that they're joking, you'll get along just fine with them. Kiwiland girls are red flags. Keep away if you want to keep your hair from falling out, says Johnny Blaze. And Kiwi Chick Hamish, keep looking. And also where they're pumping cones at 3:27 a.m. You're going to have to cook yourself some more eggs, Johnny, if you end up keeping that up. Billy LaRue. And we getting that one towards the sideline. Very nice clearing kick. It looks like Cardiff want to play this game quickly. As long as they lay still, says Johan. I mean, you could look for some sort of further connection than just that, of course. Might not be a bad idea. Like, you want to be able to tolerate them outside of the lying down too. That's the key to success. Now going off to the right-hand side. 45 metres out from the line. Once again, chance here for Cardiff. And they have got themselves a penalty advantage here. And another drop ball. Or was it? No, I think he's managed to actually regather that before it went to ground. Talupe Falatau made his way off the bench. Very welcome change for Cardiff. Back across to the right. Around the halfway line again. They will go away in a little bit of a fumble with the ball, but they will go back for the penalty. That seemed a little bit of a late shot. A bit of afters from Marco Fun starting as well. I'm not sure what the problem is with him. And one in the pink, says Johnny Blaze. And I can't believe the Blues is in the top six. They've actually changed their season around in their last few games. Massively. And I mean, they definitely needed to. They weren't quite sitting where they would have liked earlier on. Right, Cardiff. Looks like they are once again going to kick this one towards the touchline. Like I said, the most that they can get out of this game is a bonus point for scoring 4 tries. And hi, Hamish, hope you are well, says Burning Lash. Doing very well. Excited for the Stormers versus Dragons game. Definitely with the rain that is around, it could end up causing a really interesting contest. And we've also got that Under-20s Rugby Championship game we will be covering on the channel tomorrow as well. Now nicely taken there. Back across the hands of, it was Hamer Webb. Lupe Falatau. That's an interesting choice that they went with him off the bench. That is a good steal from Harold Foster. And unfortunately, the Bulls' security in this game for Cardiff has just been going downhill big time as well. Kick downfield. Cameron Winnett. And plenty of Beth and Jake, the misses in New Zealand. And has Dragons ever won a game this season? They have actually won one game. I believe is just the one, though. Who's on at the Bulls for Gooseneck. I imagine Villy switching a fly half a little bit, but they did go with Keegan Johannes, so I feel like they're both actually playing that role a little bit. Oh, that one's going to be bouncing awkwardly again, deciding to run this one out. Villy LaRue putting in quite a nice chase for his own kick. Moody over the ball. No, doesn't get the steal. 13 minutes remaining at the moment in this contest. Cardiff has gone from bad to worse throughout it and cooked the woman some eggs. Says Blues Nate. And cannot wait for the British Lions game, says Revelation. And we are going to be covering all those matches on the channel as well. So anyone who is new, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Nicely taken by Keegan Johannes around the halfway line. Kanan Moody. Oh, nice pass. It has gone backwards. Or at least that is the call from the referee. British Lions going to be awesome. Lovely choice. Says Ruth. Passed across to Steadman. Hans, who actually, he dropped that ball. It went onto his boot, so it almost looked like it was an attempted grubber, but referee saw through it, and they will go back. I don't give the girl a protein shake on the first day, says Albert. And Hans gets one chance, and he knocks it on. Oh, there we go. The man of the match vote leaders at the moment. De Klerk is at the top with 46. Caden Moody, who's had a pretty solid game, only has 18%. And Villy LaRue is sitting in second at the moment in terms of the votes. I guess this British Lions come for revenge, says Samuel. Well, that's the thing. They haven't got the best record in Australia. I think they've won 16% of their games that they've played in Aussie. But yeah, Sebastian de Klerk with 46% of those votes. So he will be more than likely the man of the match, unless people have looked at that and gone, no, I feel like someone else should get it. And British Lions sell more than 500,000 tickets already, says JG. And we South Africans love you, Hamish. Says Johan Smith. Yeah, we've got quite a loyal South African base, which is absolutely awesome. And, you know, these random hour live streams, it's currently 3:30 a.m. You guys always tuning in makes them a lot more enjoyable. Who's on at 10 for the Bulls? Did Villy not switch to fly half his role? Like I said, they brought in Keegan Johannes. Villy LaRue at times has been first receiver. Other times, Keegan Johannes has. So, that situation. And come on, the boys. We need the 50. Says Eric. And they won the last series in 2013, says Sean. Yeah, they may have won that one, but still that percentage-wise does hurt them quite a bit, which was the only thing that I was referring to there. Now getting ready to put the scrum in for Cardiff. And also Bulls at 50, says Ruth. And they finish with a little bit of a flurry here. 10 minutes remaining to Lupe Falatau breaking off the back of the scrum, proving to be difficult to drag down 40 metres out from the Bulls line. Cardiff going across here. Ben Thomas with the short ball. Josh Adams, I don't even think he's been tackled throughout this game. He's hardly touched the ball. No. Oh, but we know like the Aussies. We don't like men and no sandpaper, says Johan. I'm moving into the 22 here for Cardiff. Back across Davis, now looping around out wide to Lupe Falatau. Bit of a slip there for one of the replacement forwards. And Kiwi girls must be awesome. Imagine how fast they can run. Imagine 15 love-hungry rugby players, I think in Island style. Says JG going out wide, trying to throw it back in. And it will be in touch now. 5 metre line out for Cardiff. As they just couldn't quite get that last pass away again, being a long second half. It has felt that way a little bit. I think that because this game was so one-sided in the first half, plus it's been a little bit lower scoring throughout the second, that probably hasn't helped in terms of how quickly it has felt like it's gone. Jody Blaze, stay clean. Blowpipe or spot, not for you, says Spider Mick. And also we get the Iron Smith agreed, says JG. And there as well, Devin Williams now going to be making his way out onto the field. Still 9 minutes remaining. Kanan Moody, he will make his way off. So his chance of man of the match has probably disappeared here. But still, had an incredible first half, got himself the assist, then scored himself the try as well. Did the Bulls calm down, or did Cardiff step up? Says on the right. Ooh, it's almost a little bit of both, I would say. Like, the Bulls haven't been as aggressive throughout the second half, I don't feel. Plus, they've had a few more handling errors along the way. And Cardiff, to their credit, have tried to come back into this game a little bit. I've done work for a few South Africans here in New Zealand. I've noticed Kiwis and South Africans are very compatible people. Both love our hunting, fishing, barbecued beers, and big on family. Says Johnny Blaze. Now looking for the rolling maul here for Cardiff. They've already scored the one try. They still need 3 more throughout the next 9 minutes. It's a nice spin, and they will score here for Cardiff. Their second try of the match. There's a big moment to be able to get it as well. The Cardiff number 19 in this game, it is Teddy Williams, who does manage to score. It's a smashing, says Tyrone. We have got there, do Moana Pacifica can beat the Blues. It's a tricky one for them. Last time they didn't really get into that contest too well. But Moana have proven some pretty impressive underdog matches, or impressive victories, I should say, throughout this season. What other sports you do? We used to do a bit of cricket up until we got a few copyright strikes from other cricket channels that decided that they didn't want other people doing the games as well. So that kind of put us off the cricket a little bit. But we are going to do the World Test Championship final between South Africa and Australia on the channel. And we just have to hope that no strike does come our way. But now, going back across to the left-hand side. Little short pop pass to Talupe Falatau. That was a knock on. No, ref says it's gone backwards. So Ben Thomas now has the chance to run it straight at Stedman Hans. When will refs be replaced by robots? I don't know if they will. If they did, though, like, I just don't know if rugby would quite be the same. Like, I feel like it would give someone, or it would give less people something to complain about in terms of the referees, but then they complain that, like, the robot was hacked. I'm 52 and just got provincial colours for indoor cricket. Nice one. Do enjoy a little bit of the indoor cricket as well. Although most of the indoor cricket that I've played is only net sessions when it's raining outside. But, yeah, still thoroughly enjoyable. Oh, I've got a shot that I played in cricket from on my streaming software a while ago. I did a lofted cover drive. Maybe we'll show that at the end. If you decide to visit South Africa, you have free a home and a bed here at my place in Johannesburg. Says Robert. And one day my dad and I went hunting. I thought I saw a deer. I was high at the time. I took a shot. It was a farmer's cow. Yeah, no, that won't go down well. On the halfway line now, Villy LaRue. Oh, drop kick attempt from 50 metres out, and it's short. Unfortunately, it was very optimistic from Villy LaRue, and now it's given Cardiff the opportunity to go for a bit of a counter-attack. Cameron Winnett kicks it in behind, sits up for Keegan Johannes. And don't let the robot run on Windows. Says Christopher, now up to the halfway line. Akafanda Merva. He has recently made his way on. Give man of the match for the Bulls back 3. Says Eric, yeah, across the board, they've just been very controlled in this game, and that's another good kick down to the 22. It all uses up that little bit more time off the clock. Goes high, and it's going to be contestable. Sits up now, Cameron Winnett. Manages to slap it back. Ball is loose, picked up by Ben Thomas. Cardiff are chasing another try here. You wonder whether or not Bulls, if they were to win this game, and of course there is a chance that they could actually play Cardiff in the quarters. If it does sit that way, I don't know whether or not a bonus point would actually help Cardiff further towards that or not, but they finally started playing some rugby. Nice run again from the try scorer, Teddy Williams. And they're back inside of the 22, going short side. Skip pass out wide. It's a third try for Cardiff, and now they've got 5 minutes to get one more and receive the bonus point. You wonder where this was for the last 60 minutes of this contest. We have got there, so who made the stupid suggestion that teams should be able to resign, says on the right, and Honeycomb LaRue says a roof there, and Bulls are playing terrible now. And it's actually a little bit similar to what we saw in one of their past games. They let it slip a little bit at the end, actually up against Glasgow, where Glasgow got a few tries right near the end. But 4 minutes remaining, they are chasing the bonus point. They do score themselves one more. We will show it there. There we go. Cardiff at the moment have 46 points. So one more point here, getting up to 47 compared to the side who is in 8th at the moment, the Scarlets, who still have a game to come. They'll be playing the Lions, but that might actually really help them in terms of being just high enough to stop the likes of Benetton sneaking in. So theoretically, now that I think about it, I think with the amount of games, oh no, Edinburgh still have a game too, don't they? They can only move up to 42 points. So Cardiff, I believe, if Cardiff get the bonus point here and Benetton lose to Glasgow, Cardiff are safe in the quarterfinals. Maths-wise, I think that makes sense. So that bonus point could be the difference, whereas if they don't get that bonus point, Benetton can actually still overtake them if they were to get themselves the win next week. And can't wait for the Springboks versus All Blacks in Eden Park. Tickets are selling fast, Dave says Revelation. They certainly are. A lot of people excited for that one. Nice to see Cardiff not giving up there. The Bulls replacements ain't doing the job, says Brian. Now backline movement here again for Cardiff. They move outside of their 22. It's been a great finish to the match for the away side. Bit of a standing start there for the number 20. Where are the forwards? There they are. Took a little while to get there. I was waiting for the Bulls to try and go for the turnover in the breakdown. 3 minutes remaining in this contest. Cardiff, they have to throw caution to the wind. It doesn't even matter theoretically if the Bulls get themselves another try during the time. As long as Cardiff can somehow find one in this match. Those tickets are gone. I tried to buy for me and my son, but all the decent seats are gone. Only the bad seats left. See Johnny. And now about 22 metres out from the line. In fact, a little bit closer to that, about 15 metres out. We have the Oh No Cricket. I have to send a container of Black Label. Says JG. Sebastian de Klerk still looking like he is winning the votes for man of the match. One's going to go into touch, though, around the halfway line. Probably last chance for Cardiff, I would say. The crowd loving it. They have got the flashlights out as it becomes evening in South Africa. Will you Google my name, Hamish? Will I, as in like to find your cricket information? So I assume there'd be a few Johann Schmidts around, wouldn't there? Now, Cardiff in possession with 2 minutes remaining. Jonty Schmidt and Paul says, I was going to say says Johan, but Jonty Schmidt Paul. We'll go like this. Seniors Championships in South Africa. I assume that is you and the Masters side of things. Oh, big shot. And the Bulls try and get the steal, but there was a knock on. So they will go back for another scrum. 90 seconds left. But I'm taking my son to France versus AB's third test in Hamilton. Kind of stink game. Although I prefer to go watch the mighty world champion Springboks. Says Johnny. Johan's bro. Okay, I get you. I go Jonty Smith Paul. I did just see 2016 South African Senior Pools Championships is something that came up. 2017 as well. And, oh no, that's Jonty Howlands. I don't know where that came from in terms of an article about a silver medal. But the rest was Paul related. 55 seconds left. Ready to put this ball in again. Cardiff going back across to the right-hand side. Can they get the one more? They are playing a little bit of We Will Rock You at the ground, so trying to fire up both sides for this final 40 minutes. I would ask you to Google me, Hamish, but I don't want you to get reported and put on a watch list, says Christopher DeVette. Off the feet, so Marco van Staden has to get out of that one. Now Ben Thomas puts in the field inside ball to Cameron Winnett. And this is the big chance that Cardiff needed to get 1 point. And like I said, if they were to get the bonus point here and then Benetton to lose by 8 without a bonus point to Glasgow. Oh, it's going to be cleared there. It was close to a knock-on. Now back across to the left-hand side. But that is, of course, a big if, and that is a terrible pass from Cardiff, which will close out this game. Marco van Staden going to be playing halfback. He is told to use it. Time is up and he kicks it. He doesn't find touch with it. Eventually, though, the Bulls just run that ball out. And that will be the end of the game. But massive mistake. Philly LaRue shaking his head, looking at Marco van Staden as if to say, how has he not managed to find touch with that one? But the Bulls, 45 points to 21. A great win for this Bulls side. They are closer to a home semi-final, but they will need to get the victory next week. And the pressure is now on Glasgow, who will be playing in only 30 minutes' time. But I do thank you all very much for tuning in. We have got there. Thanks for the good memories, Hamish. No worries at all, Christopher. And hopefully we do get to see you for that Stormers versus Dragons game. Like I said, it is just around the corner. It will be a very entertaining one to keep an eye on. Yes, the weather's supposed to be bad, so there might be quite a few scrums. So we might end up talking about all sorts of random stuff during those breaks, as we always do. Yeah, if you guys are new, sure, leave a like and subscribe. And I will see you all in 20 minutes' time for the start of that next stream.